Asian vision.
Tit for tat. Ukraine confirms receipt of U.S. cluster bombs. Putin vows reciprocal action. On July 7, U.S. President Joe Biden approved the provision of cluster munitions to Ukraine, which could pose a threat to civilians, drawing criticism from public opinion and international human rights organizations. The Ukrainian army commander recently confirmed that they have received the cluster munitions transported by the U.S., but emphasized that they have not yet been used. In response, Russian President Vladimir Putin said that the Russian military also has a sufficient number of such weapons and reserves the right to take reciprocal action, meaning that he threatens to retaliate in kind. Cluster munitions have a high dud rate due to their wide killing range, meaning they often leave unexploded bombs that can still pose a threat to civilians for a long time. In 2008, international conventions were established prohibiting the development, use, and transfer of cluster munitions, but military powers such as the US, China, and Russia have not signed or joined. According to the Associated Press, Putin said in a recent interview with domestic media that although Russia has enough stockpiles of cluster munitions, they have not used them in the war against Ukraine so far and have no need to do so. However, reports suggest that both the U.S. and international humanitarian organizations have documented the use of such bombs by both sides in the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, and have evidence that the Russian military has used cluster munitions. The U.S. government believes that providing cluster bombs will help the Ukrainian army counterattack and advance its front line. Before Biden made the decision last week, there had been months of debate in the U.S. public opinion on the issue. Many allies criticized such weapons as violating humanitarian principles, but supporters argued that the Russian military had already used cluster munitions in Ukraine and that the bombs provided by the U.S. had been upgraded, leaving relatively fewer unexploded bombs. Ukraine promised to use the bombs only in non-populated areas.
Asian vision.